KREM 2 News 10 at 10 begins now with Mark Hanrahan and Jeremy Legoo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. Let's get started. First up tonight, Spokane City Council voted on an emergency ordinance to change the budget structure of the city. The move comes amid a sizable budget shortfall. Connor McAvoy listened to tonight's meeting and has more tonight.
Starting in 2025, the City of Spokane's Finance Department will be budgeting the city for a 2-year time period instead of doing so annually. The council voted to implement the change in the budget structure in hopes to combat the city's debt of $50 million. Council voted in favor of the new structure in the city's budget 6-1, with one opposing vote from Councilman Jonathan Bingle. Mayor Lisa Brown proposed the biennial budget earlier this year, saying the financial change would help with long-term planning and improve the city financial team's resource management. Councilman Michael Cathcart explains his support for the biennial budget.
That we need to start thinking long-term. We have to start thinking sustainably, and we need to make sure that our program costs and departmental costs and things are sustainable over a longer horizon than just a single year.
Councilman Jonathan Bingle voted against the budget structure in response to the city being in the position of having this be an emergency ordinance. That means the vote is required 6 months before the start of the new year.
Had we had it in time, it could have gone through the proper channels, it could have gone through the proper process and still been passed in time. Unfortunately, we didn't have it in time, and so now we have to pass it as an emergency. Otherwise, we won't be within our deadline.
The City Council vote was 6-1, and many of its supporters believe the new structure will help improve the city's deficit. In studio, Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
A warm and windy weekend means that we are tracking several wildfires across our region tonight. So take a look at this map where it shows what sparked this weekend and some like the Pioneer Fire, which have been burning for several weeks now. So let's take a closer look. Most recently, a brush fire near Bolin Pitcher forced Riverside State Park to close for the afternoon as crews went to work. Reports of smoke near Equestrian Lane came in at around 1 this afternoon. Crews worked fast and had that 1-acre fire almost fully contained by 4:30 p.m. And thanks to quick efforts of fire crews, a 20-acre wildfire is now under control tonight. It sparked north of Spokane International Airport last night at around 7. Air resources quickly stopped the spread. No evacuations were ever issued in that fire. Meantime, just within the last few hours, evacuations dropped for a fire in Okanogan County. That's according to the Okanogan County Emergency Management. That means people living near Gold Creek Road near Carlton are now under level 1 evacuations. That fire started on Saturday afternoon and has burned about 200 acres so far. And finally, all evacuations have been lifted for the number 2 Canyon Road fire that sparked yesterday near Wenatchee. It quickly spread to 100 acres, prompting level 3 evacuations, but within 2 hours, those levels were dropped. The cause of that fire is unknown tonight. And wildfire season is only just beginning. You can watch including our wildfire forecast right now on KREM 2 Plus. It is free to download on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Well, on that note, we are no longer under a red flag warning tonight, but the next couple of days are going to be pretty toasty. Let's get right over to meteorologist Michelle Boss for more. Michelle.
We do have some hot weather in the forecast, but luckily no heat waves. In fact, temperatures are going to see quite a bit of up and down this week, so the heat won't last for long. Taking a look at temperatures across the inland northwest right now, it's actually rather cool out there. 72 in Spokane, 54 though in Deer Park and Sandpoint, lower 60s in Coeur d'Alene, 72 in Lewiston and in Wenatchee. But satellite and radar showing dry conditions all across the inland northwest. Few, if any, clouds, and we're looking at another day full of sunshine tomorrow. But unlike today, it will be much hotter. The temperatures will cool down into the lower 50s. We will heat up rapidly and looking for highs in the middle and upper 80s over the next couple of days. We'll have sunny skies tomorrow, but we'll see much more cloud cover on Wednesday and do have the chance for isolated thunderstorms on Wednesday. And then we'll see a pattern change, which will bring us another chance of storms, but a lot more wind and much cooler temperatures by Thursday.
All right, sounds good, Michelle. Thank you very much. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. Spokane police arrested a suspect in a string of suspicious fires downtown over the weekend. He appeared in court today for the first time. Investigators say Chad Horn intentionally lit 4 fires on Saturday. We have some photos which are from surveillance video from the night the fire was started. Documents show investigators matched Horn to the person in the photos. All those fires were quickly put out, but Spokane Fire says it certainly could have been a lot worse.
The big thing for us, the fortunate thing is that The winds, we had the winds forecasted for Sunday. These fires happen on Saturday, so had they happened on Sunday with those winds, could have been a different story.
In court today, Horn kept his head down and begged the judge for mercy, but the judge determined he set the fires with malicious intent and set his bond at $100,000. A small plane had to make an emergency landing at Horizon Middle School in Spokane Valley last night after the pilot said the plane's engine quit mid-flight. He said he didn't think he could make it back to Phelps Field, more than 5 miles from that school. 4 people were on board. Nobody was hurt. The FAA is investigating tonight. The CUNY County Sheriff's Office continues the search for an escaped teen from the County Juvenile Detention Center. The Sheriff's Office says 2 boys escaped that facility on Friday night. One of them was caught. 15-year-old Caden Shrebus is still on the run. He was last seen wearing a green shirt and blue pants. So if you have any information, you're asked to call that number right there at the bottom of your screen. And that was your Night Beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. Well, tonight, nearly a dozen passengers are recovering after a Sound Transit bus went onto the sidewalk and crashed outside of a downtown Seattle building. That bus driver said the brakes stopped working and caused that bus to veer off the road. Passengers say it was traveling about 40 to 50 miles per hour when it hit the barrier. Seattle police say the bus driver was tested to see if he was under the influence, but did not share the results of that test. The cause of the crash is still under investigation tonight. Well, thanks to new government funding, the port of entry at the U.S.-Canada border in Port Hill, Idaho is expanding. According to the U.S. General Services Administration, the current facilities cannot accommodate the staff and operations, leading to congestion. So the GSA will demolish the current facility and construct a new 2-story building. That construction is expected to start December of 2026 and wrap up in October of 2028. We could soon learn more details about a tentative labor deal for Alaska Airlines flight attendants. That deal wraps up talks that lasted for more than a year and a half. No word yet on terms. The deal likely contains a significant pay raise, which has been a common demand across the airline industry. United and American Airlines are still negotiating contracts with their flight attendants tonight. The Department of Justice is deciding whether or not Boeing will face criminal prosecution for violating its settlement after 2 737 MAX 8 crashes killed nearly 400 people. In 2021, Boeing avoided prosecution by agreeing to overhaul its compliance program for 3 years, but just 3 days before that agreement ended, that door plug blew off a Boeing plane mid-flight. Now the DOJ must decide if those criminal charges should be revived. They have until July 7th. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court is wading into culture wars, agreeing to take up a case involving care for transgender youth. The High Court announced it will review the constitutionality of a Tennessee law banning gender-affirming care for transgender minors, such as puberty blockers and hormone therapy.
These are teens who identify as transgender who are saying, but if I didn't identify as transgender, then some of these treatments would be available to me. So this is a violation of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause. You're treating similarly situated people differently, and you don't have a good enough reason to do so.
The outcome of this new case could have a nationwide impact, including in Idaho. Earlier this year, the U.S. Supreme Court allowed an Idaho law that bans gender-affirming care for children under 18 to be enforced while lawsuits against it move forward. Arguments are set to take place coming up in the fall. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time.